the abomination of desolation is set up, and he proclaims himself to be God. Now, from this time forward, 1335 days puts us past the second coming into the millennial reign. And that's the time when the foundation stone is probably set, and there is a new order of things. Now, what I didn't know when I put this book together is that the Dead Sea Scrolls talk about when the Lord comes back, there will be a new covenant, just like before. So, and they gave the example of Passover. Passover, there was a wine bread covenant, we don't know much about it, during the Melchizedekian era. And then when Moses came along, it was expanded to become the Passover Seder. Okay, most of us are familiar with that. So they were expecting when the Messiah came the first time and died for our sins, this all happens always on a Pentecost. So that next Pentecost, you would be able to enter the age of grace. It's a new covenant type thing. And everything will change. And when it does, the Passover Seder will change. And it did. We now have Christian communion. Now, they went on to say as when the second coming occurs and the establishment of the kingdom happens 2,000 years later, the Messiah will then again change the ritual. And they speculated on what it would be. It's an amazing chapter to look at. It's in the Damascus Covenant. But at that time it will change, and they gave some examples of the change. So the dispensations changed, and that's interesting. But this is probably what we're talking about. And it'd be a long story to go through, but the number 1335 is basically an idiom, or becomes an idiom for Pentecost. And what I was telling you before about these things like the 1290 and 1260 days, it's not a random number. It's from a Moedim, a festival like Passover, Pentecost, first fruits, something. So many days, there's another one. And these will fit a lot of different ways on the calendar, but the 1335 didn't fit on any, no matter how you did it, on the modern Jewish calendar. But it does fit on the Dead Sea Scroll calendar in one spot. So that lets us know exactly what we're talking about. So it ends on a a Pentecost, when we renew covenants or enter new covenants. So this is what we're talking about. And then there's